looked at it and didn't tell me. Which I'm sure she'll let me know.
Form pursuant to Rhode Island General Law, Section 42-46-6, subsection D, will begin at 6:45 p.m. Those assigned for the open forum are James Canoy, 183 Glen Road, in Woonsocket.
Good evening, thank you for your time. My name is Jim Canoy. I'm a resident of Woonsocket. I own the property right over here on School Street. I'm a ratepayer on the sewer line, and I notice you have something on the agenda tonight to go into executive session to discuss the ongoing dispute you have with the city of Woonsocket with respect to interjurisdictional agreements. And I've watched this for quite some time, and I've spoken to a handful of you folks over the last couple of years. And I'm just here to tell you, as a ratepayer here in the town of Smithfield, and someone that uses sewer line, I'm completely perplexed as to where you're going with this. I see that you have those points, which I don't think you will. Even if you went to arbitration and an arbitrator or a Superior Court judge said, yep, you're 100% right, bad, Woonsocket. What do you do on November 2nd, the termination date? Because the city of Woonsocket, it seems to me, very clearly exercised properly the termination clause that both parties agreed to in 1977. Both parties agreed that either party could terminate the agreement after 30 years with 3 years' notice. And the city of Woonsocket probably gave you guys notice, the town notice, nearly 2 years ago in October of 2013 to say we're terminating. So regardless of all the past sins, come November 2nd, the agreement that you've been operating under is terminated. So I'll be curious what the plan is. What's the strategy? I mean, arbitrating this stuff is interesting, but what do you do the next day? And I think what you really have to focus on, quite frankly, is what are my options? And I think part of the rub is that the town has very, in my opinion, unfortunately, has very little leverage in this matter at this point. Because, again, with all due respect, I think we've twiddled our thumbs for nearly 3 years. But you have options. You can tie into the Narragansett Bay Commission. You can tie into Borough, I think someone said. You can build your own sewage treatment plant. You can tie into Woonsocket. There could be other options. But I would suggest to you that any reasonable person looking at the options available to you, and there are several, the best option, smarter people will figure that out. But the clock is running, guys. And we're spending money on legal fees and other stuff, and I think at the end of the day, again, I think reasonable people, if you honestly look at it, again, it's not, you don't have as much leverage as you'd like. It's still the best deal that's available to us, and it's still a very good deal. So I would hope that when you go into executive session again, ask how you show and demonstrate damages with this claim about they changed the allocation. I don't think the city has ever precluded the town of Smithfield from processing as much as it wanted. So I don't know how you show damages, and I don't know how you argue, gee, there was no board for 40 years. We're just waking up in the 11th hour, and we want to make us think about that. So, I hope cooler heads will prevail, and we'll just get on with this and put it behind us, and good for everybody. Thank you.
Evelyn Wheeler, 235 Ashbury Road, Bradford, Rhode Island.
I have a packet, may I pass it out?
Certainly.
I'm with the Rhode Island Advisory Commission on Historical Cemeteries. Back in 2011, the state passed Rhode Island General Law 44-3-63, which will allow towns to make their own ordinance to allow property owners who have a cemetery on their property, if they keep it clean, get a slight tax abatement. I have based the taxation page, I've based that on the Lincoln Town Stonewall ordinance. And it's based on, say you have a $20 tax rate. If someone has a cemetery, it would probably come out to about $60 as a tax abatement if they keep that cemetery clean. This would help preserve these historical spots. These are the people that started this state and this country, actually. And I just wish you would think about it, and if there's any way that I can help, I'm available and will answer any questions or help you set up the ordinance. This taxation was to help the solicitor. You could just put it through as is or change a few words or whatever. There's also an application, I'm working on that, so, and there's plenty of people in the State Cemetery Commission and also in around each town, there's people interested in cemeteries. We're available to help the tax assessor, say go out and take a picture before and after when someone does apply, so that they can get the tax abatement. Any questions?
I have a question, Mrs. Wheeler. I 100% agree with your foreword that cemeteries are museums, these historic cemeteries, and they need to be preserved. I 100% agree with that. I actually am part of Find a Grave, and I go and I take pictures of grave sites for people who are looking for their family members who want to see the grave. So I volunteer for that, and I've done some cleanup in various cemeteries when I lived in Smithfield. So I love what you're proposing here. The only question I would have is that it's a question of who would we have to make sure that these properties, if we do give an abatement, that these properties are being maintained? How do we enforce that? Or how are other towns?
This is where the volunteers would come in to help the tax assessor take the pictures before and after. And there's also people like you that are going from cemetery to cemetery, can check it out. I don't imagine there's going to be a huge amount of people going for this, but it will help and it might grow and someday be very worthwhile.
Absolutely agree. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. President, may we put this on the agenda for another day? So we can discuss as a council?
That's a motion, I'll second that. What, do we need a motion? Yeah, I'll second that.
Put on that, August, you already said,
August 1st?
August 1st.
Okay, so August 1st, we will be discussing this as a council. Thank you very much.
We'll get your right last name. Jason Proctor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you this evening. There's two matters I want to address. The first one is property at the beginning of my street. I grew up in Lincoln my whole life, so I'm a new resident of Smithfield. I just purchased 54 Elizabeth Ave from Smithfield. And when you first come down my street, there's a new construction. I talked to the zoning board already. It's 38 Elizabeth Avenue. And the property is not being maintained. From what I understand, I talked to my neighbors, and they said this property has been under construction since 1998. The zoning board said as long as he renews his construction permit every 90 days, there's no time limit on how long the property can be under construction. The other issue I'd like to address is, I mean, I'm trying to have a homecoming party and I'm embarrassed to have to go to my house because of the house not being maintained on the side of mine. If you don't mind if I approach, I have some pictures outside, I can show you.
Let's bring them up.
I took some pictures of the property in question.
Big red frame.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's,
I know,
So here's the property.
I know.
From what I've heard,
I drove by it.
from what I've heard now, that, and then here's my property that I bought. And I pay landscape, I work a lot, I'm a resident also, I'm in Norfolk, Mass. I work a lot, so I pay landscape to maintain my property. I know, I understand some people don't have the budget, they can't, some people can't afford it. But here's his property that he owns on 115, so he maintains, he has no time to maintain his property, but not the property in question. And then there was a elderly lady who died last year, with the house right next door to me, is, I guess, from what I understand, what I was told is, the property's under abatement right now, because it has asbestos and whatnot. But I believe it's the bank that owns it, still pays for it to maintain it. That's the house right across the street from me. And when I talked to the zoning board, he said there's nothing, no one ever, because it was, it used to be farmland or whatnot, that there's no like amendments like that, or no laws stating that how high your grass can be, or anything like that. The only thing I tried to,
There isn't in this town?
that's, I mean, I live in Lincoln had it, so I mean, I thought that you had to keep your property.
Yeah, you should actually, come and secure your property.
I just went through the ordinance book this week, and there's nothing.
There isn't. I drove by the property in question, and it was after a side conversation I had with Mr. Bassett, and he told me about it. So I took a ride by on Friday morning, and he told me that the owner goes there every so often, moves some rocks around, and then leaves. And I kind of thought he was joking, because Art and I do joke around a lot.
Yes.
And when I drove by, that's exactly what he was doing. And I couldn't believe it. I immediately texted Art. It is, the house itself could be absolutely beautiful, but the property around it is so ridiculously overgrown. And I don't know about your property. I have 4 acres, and most of it is vines. And I'm constantly fighting these vines, and I'm never going to lean against it. I can't afford to have a landscaper come in, but believe me, I think about it all the time. But it is a battle that you constantly have to fight. But this is beyond that.
Yeah, I literally have to try to use, I'll show you the picture where he lives at 115, lives back, he lives on the same street, and his property he maintains.
Right, it's
But
gorgeous.
since no one's doing nothing about it, that he thinks he can just let it go. He's also got a piece, I'm not sure, piece of construction on his a back on the property also has been sitting forever.
Yeah, I saw that too. It's right at the rear.
And then when I talked to the zoning board, also I talked to the gentleman on Friday, he told me that he's inspected this property twice and came to a conclusion that the guy is not violating any laws or anything. He said he said, I haven't been able to obtain the report yet. I'm not trying to obtain that for public record. Just because he said he's been there twice now, and he's came to a conclusion twice for his investigation.
Did you speak to the building inspector?
No, the zoning board.
I think the building inspector might be the way that you should contact him, Mr. Chinese, to see what he has to say.
And then, so there's pretty much nothing that can be done about the actual maintenance of the property.
There's nothing in the ordinances, I'd have to read with the solicitor.
Again, it would be an enforcement issue, but I don't have the ordinance at my fingertips. It's obviously an enforcement issue.
So if there is something in the if there's something in the town ordinance, we can enforce it, but if there isn't, then we can't.
We can create.
We can create an
That's what I'm
ordinance.
saying, we need about amendments to create one now.
That'll take a month or two just to get to that. I'm not being negative here, it's going to take time to get.
Well, I understand, I don't expect it to be done overnight, sir. I just want to bring it to the attention. Because I mean,
One of the things that you might be able to look at, here's a primary use of a residential area. That house is primary use, but it's not being used as a residence. There's no one living there, correct?
he also, oh no, he has that house, and he also has another lot in the
But
side.
the house in question with the overgrowth, No, it's not, it is inhabited, right, it inhabits. Nobody
Yes, sir,
else
there's no front stairs on it at all.
So if he's storing equipment there, the question could be, David, does he actually have a primary use? Because if he's storing equipment there without a primary use, then it's a violation of the zone. Either a business or a residential area, so maybe we can look into that. And of course, pass it on to the administrator so she can get involved and to direct someone to look into this. But in order, I'm sorry, saying to Mr. Proctor?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Swolenski. Not a bad idea. I think we've talked about this maintenance of properties. And some folks always come back and say, it's my property, I wish to maintain it the way I do. It does have a detrimental effect on residential values. And sometimes we have some folks that either can't do it for whatever reason, they can't get out and do it. And some communities are a little bit more progressive and they have it done and then charged back to the house owner. And then you run into a whole thing of getting paid for doing this. So it's a complicated issue because of land usage. But that's something we may be able to look at. We've got a number of zoning issues before us this evening alone. That's something that we could start looking at. But I have to tell you, that one is going to take some time because there's two sides to that case.
I understand, sir. As long as it's, I just want to notify you guys, how the issue, bring it up every day. As you said, you guys already had to deal with it before, I just want to renew it again.
Yeah, you know, here's the sad part. It's really not a problem until it happens to some neighborhood. You know, no one really thinks about it, except the people in that neighborhood. But it happened throughout town before. We've actually had houses that were abandoned, swimming pools that weren't covered, and for public safety, attractive nuisance, get in there and put a cover on that pool. We're worried about paying for it later. But these are the things we face all the time.
I understand, sir. All right, thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Paul Swolenski, I live at 7 Robin Way. I'm a counselor, and I'm actually speaking on the good and welfare of my capacity as a town councilor. I've checked with the town solicitor to say, is this something we should do? Under advice of solicitor, it said you can add it to the agenda, get a unanimous consent to discuss it. And he said probably the quickest way would be to talk to you, my colleagues, on the good and welfare. So here goes. In our town packets, we received a correspondence from David Fish, Acting Chief Engineer, Rhode Island Department of Transportation. It is dated July 7th. It is time-stamped into... I had two copies. What was the timestamp? Madam Clerk, do you remember the timestamp? Okay, it was timestamped about
June 13th.
13th. You have it there? Thanks.
It was on the envelope.
Okay, see, I don't have the timestamp, but I remember seeing it somewhere. If you may, Mr. President, I'd like to read it into record and suggest to you. It was crafted July 7th. Robert Paul Boucher, President, North Smithfield Town Council. Skip the address. Dear Mr. Boucher, I have received your letter, your June 27th letter to the State Traffic Commission Secretary Steve Costawa, requesting RIDOT to fabricate the sign shown in the town's sign plan as created by Parham Engineering. You also requested that the sign location be laid out by Rhode Island Department of Transportation to use the acronym RIDOT. Since it is the town's design and the town's intent to install them with their own force in the interest of getting them installed before RIDOT could have them installed, we feel the location should be laid out by town working off the town's plan. Please note that before the installation begins, they should be confirmed by DigSafe as being free of underground conflicts. We also requested to extend the time of the school zone to start on to start at 7 a.m. and end at 10 p.m. The State Traffic Commission approved the school zone with reduced speed hours between 7 to 8 a.m. and 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. These time periods coincide with the opening and dismissal of the school day. They are also the times that large numbers of students are walking to and from the school and possibly across the road. Since arriving and dismissal on school days is a constant pedestrian generator, requiring motorists to reduce their speed to prepare for pedestrian interactions is the intent of the school zone. That is how the State Traffic Commission has implemented school zones throughout the state. We will contact the North Smithfield Director of Public Works when the signs are fabricated. Sincerely, David Fish. PE, acting chief engineer. Here's my concern. They quote here, they say, "We feel the location should be laid out by the town, working off the town's plan." We don't have a PE. My concern is if our town public works goes out and marks the locations, suppose they're in the wrong location. Does RIGL come back and say you've installed the signs in the wrong location? God forbid there's a traffic fatality out there, deep pockets being what it is, sure, car engineering would say, we didn't locate them, that's the sign the town did. Everybody's gonna be implicated in this. To make a long story short, Mr. President and colleagues on the council, I would like to send another correspondence to the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, asking them to come out and put markers where these signs should be, using their PEs to do it. I don't expect this to take a whole bunch of time. Hopefully we can expedite this matter before school starts. So for consideration I'll take the lead on this if my colleagues don't mind me doing it. I just think it should happen sooner than later. And I'm really concerned about the onus being placed on the town to locate the signs. We can put them in. I haven't, Mr. Pendergast, you have? Did you have, this is what I read?
Yes.
Are you kind of in agreement with that, or?
Yes.
Yeah? All right. So if you guys are, I'll take the lead on this. Thank you.
Do you mind if we also discuss one other aspect of this? It says that the State Traffic Commission approved the school zone to reduce the speed hours between 7 and 8 a.m. And that's in, so that coincides with the school day? No, it doesn't. NSES starts at 8:30. And as Mr. Soley can attest, and Ms. Alves, as they have children that are older than mine, those buildings are used for after school, but school-related programs late at night. They should not reduce the amount of hours that we want to reduce the speed limit within that area. So if they fabricate signs saying 7 to 8 and 1 to 3:30, then we're going to be bound by that.
Okay, with the council's, can we vote on this, David? Can I ask them for consensus?
It's good, won't hurt.
All right. So,
But if we make a motion to put it on the agenda and it's unanimous, we can, right?
No, you can always amend your agenda by unanimous, by a majority vote for discussion purposes.
Discussion.
But you can't
That's right.
vote on it matters you added to your agenda.
so if someone were to discuss and say, hey, I agree those signs should say till 9 a.m. as opposed to,
It just can't be a council action.
can't take a vote.
You can't take a vote of the council.
So is it worth us amending the ordinance unanimously to go through this?
I don't think you've got more that you've accomplished in the information you provided to the council.
Okay, good.
Okay.
But we could put it on the next agenda.
Yeah, but if someone wanted to take the initiative and send a letter,
Right, nothing stops you from doing it.
huh?
Nothing stops you from doing that.
Okay. Thank you, colleagues.
Good work. The open forum section is done. We'll start our meeting, Madam Clerk. So, Fred, any pledge?
Lord, assist with the whole spirit of council, all those who are serving in positions of authority and responsibility.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Here. Mrs. Nato? Here. Mr. Sol?
Here.
Mr. Zalinski?
Present.
Mr. Boucher?
Present. Item 40, executive session. In the Rhode Island General Laws 42-465, subsection A, subsection 2, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation. One, potential litigation with Woonsocket interjurisdictional wastewater agreement.
Mr. President, make a motion to go into executive session of Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5, subsection A2, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation. One, potential litigation with Woonsocket interjurisdictional wastewater agreement. That's a motion.
Second. Motion by Councilman Zawinski, second by Councilwoman Nato. Any further discussions? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Sol?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.